this is your host Akhil Navluri, and welcome to the very first episode of the One to One podcast. And in this podcast episode, I'm super thrilled and honored to welcome one of the most distinguished guests, Mr. Nacho Fernandez, who happens to be based out of Madrid, Spain. And talking about Nacho, Nacho is into providing one-on-one classes for many professionals and companies around the world. So let's hear it from you, Nacho. So why don't you introduce about yourself to our audience and listeners across the world?
Okay, first of all, thank you very much, Akil, for having me here on this podcast. It's a great experience. It's a great opportunity to be with you. My name is Nacho. I'm from Madrid, Spain. I, as you said, I coach Spanish to professionals and one-on-one, and also small groups to different companies, very small groups, and yeah, that's me. That's me. Yeah.
That's a good introduction, Nacho. So, Nacho, at the stroke of this hour, which is 1:33 p.m. IST, let's kick off with the podcast episode. All right. Yeah. So, Nacho, now tell me about this. Now, tell me about your journey. Like, how did you get started into, the Spanish coaching? And, how did that idea germinate for you to, start your initiative? Was this out of your, pure love for your language Spanish, or was it for any other specific reason? In short, I want to understand, like, how did your journey into Spanish coaching start?
My journey wasn't very conventional. Uh, I love languages from, well, all my life. I've been loving languages. I studied at a primary, secondary, and high school French school. So I was surrounded by multicultural ambience from the beginning of my life. Um, when I was a teenager, my French level was higher than the average in Spain, because usually people went to Spanish schools. So in summer, what I did was tutoring small kids
Okay.
who didn't pass their exams, their French exams, in order to have some pocket money to for my vacation, for my weekends. So there I realized that I love teaching, that I love sharing, and that I love languages. But when I finished my high school, I didn't know what to do with my life. So I decided to study law. And even though I was a good student, because I had very good marks and I enjoyed university, but I knew that law was for me. I knew that I would never work as a lawyer. So when I finished school, my parents gave me as a graduation present a trip to the States uh, in order to learn English, to improve my English, because I started studying English when I was 18. So up to that moment, I didn't know any single word in English. So I started when I was 18. So it was a trip that changed my way of seeing languages, because uh, I was immersed in the culture. I was living in a foreign country,
Mhm.
and my English. Well, I improved my English a lot, much better than now. And when I came back from that trip, I decided to start teaching English. So I had some students. I had some groups, and one day a guy called Adam, named Adam, he called me and asked me if I could teach him Spanish. And I was like, okay, why not? If I taught Spanish, French, if I taught English, why not Spanish? So I said yes. It was scary because it's something different. Teaching any language is different because of the grammar, because of the structures, because of everything. But well, I started teaching him, and he stayed for a year with me, and I enjoyed the process. He enjoyed the process. And from that moment, I decided that I preferred teaching Spanish rather than English or French because it was something different. Because when you teach English or when you teach French, uh, you are not teaching a part of yourself because these languages don't belong to myself. When I teach Spanish, I'm teaching
Yeah.
part of myself, a part of my culture, the music I listen to, the movies I
Hmm.
watch, so everything that is inside of me. So I love that, and from that moment, I decided that I wanted to do that.
You wanted to learn Spanish. So, Nacho, you just told me that your parents gave you that opportunity of traveling to the US. When you went to the US, did you ever find people, speaking a little bit of Spanish there? Because I feel that in the part of US, like in the area of, Florida, or let's say New Mexico or Texas, there is some, influence of Spanish. But in Utah, was there any influence of Spanish all the way there?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with that. Every time I saw a person speaking Spanish, I crossed the street because I didn't want to. I was there to be immersed in the culture, so I rejected everything related to Spanish. I rejected the food. I rejected the language, the music. Yeah, I wanted to make the most of it, of my experience in the States, and to learn English. I was there to live like an American and not like a Spaniard.
Wow.
So some people wanted to practice Spanish with me, and I always said, "Oh no, sorry, I'm here to speak English." So I never spoke Spanish with them.
I mean, in Spanish, there is one word, right? I mean, especially when in English you say yes, but in Spanish you say sí. So when people offered you to, speak in Spanish, you didn't tell them sí, so that, they could understand that, okay, Nacho speaks Spanish, not English. I mean, he's a Spanish person, but not American. Did you get that kind of, instant anywhere?
Uh, yeah, I well at the beginning, well when I got there, my English level was very low. So yeah, I wanted to the first 2 or 3 weeks. I just wanted to speak Spanish, but I forced myself not to do it. I
Wow.
forced myself to speak English with the vocabulary I had, with the tools I had, only to speak English. Because, as I told you, I wanted to make the most of it, of my experience. And to learn English as much as I could. And yeah, and so yeah, I wanted to say sí, I wanted to speak Spanish, but I said no, you are not going to do it. You are going to answer in English. And well, at that moment, when I got there, I imagine it was a long time ago. So we didn't have like cell phones with artificial intelligence, so it was something different. So I couldn't rely on these tools that now we have. But it's something
Right.
that I always say to my clients, every time if you move to a Spanish speaking country, or if you need to work in a Spanish environment, try to do it with the tools you have. Don't don't because the easiest way to do it is just to go to your language. Believe me, this is the first time I record a podcast in English, the first time in my life.
All
And
right.
for me, it would be so much easier to do it in Spanish. So if you had told me, okay, we could have like a live translation of your words, for me that would be great. I would say yes, please. I would explain everything in Spanish, and that for me would be much easier. But that's not the point. I need to talk to you in English with the tools I have. So I always say my clients to speak Spanish with the tools they have.
I mean, I would love to do Spanish, a Spanish podcast with you, but one condition, Nacho, you need to teach me Spanish, and then definitely I would, come up with this idea for sure.
No, English is perfect. I think so. At least I hope people can understand me.
All right, all right. That's a pretty good approach, Nacho. Now, Nacho, like on a freelance basis, like what was your drive to give one-on-one Spanish classes for companies and professionals around the world?
Well, from the beginning, as I told you, I was teaching one-on-one or group students. I group classes. Sorry, I also uh, worked for some academies, some schools, and what I realized is that all these groups were so different. So, for example, there were six students, but one of them was a lawyer, another one was a mechanic, another one was a secretary, another one was a student. So they didn't have anything in common, just the their goal of learning a different language. But the Spanish a lawyer needs is different from the Spanish that a teacher needs or the Spanish that a secretary needs. So I realized that I could only do that with one-on-one sessions and only uh, focusing on the needs of those people. So if I have a client who is a lawyer, I would tailor all the sessions for his needs or for their needs, for their goals, everything they need for their job. If they want to visit a Spanish-speaking country, I would tailor all my sessions for their needs, like hospitals or hotels or whatever. So you can only do that in one-on-one sessions or in small group sessions if all people from the group belong to the same company because they all have the same goals.
Exactly. I mean, that's a pretty good approach. I mean, that's a customized approach. If anyone is traveling to, let's say, Argentina, I mean, and the language there is Spanish. So you will help people, to speak like, how you're supposed to speak there. What is the slang that you need to use, right? Is that the approach that you use when you're, giving one-on-one Spanish classes?
Yeah, so what I try to do is to if I understood you correctly, what I try to do is to focus on, for example, imagine you want to learn Spanish. I will tailor all the sessions to your needs. That is like tech vocabulary and is podcast vocabulary. So for example, you don't need anything related to biology, for example, or you don't need anything related to I don't know, art history. And what I do is I tailor the sessions to that, and I give you the tools you need in order to, so you will be able to learn by yourself the rest of the Spanish you need. Because, for example, yesterday I wrote a post about it. It was, I said that most of my clients stay with me for an average of 18 or 21 months, no longer than 2 years, because some coaches and teachers say that their clients stay with them for 4 or 5 years. I don't think it's necessary. I will teach you all the basics because, of course, you need to know all the basics of the language, all the basics of the grammar, the structures, and I will teach you the the part of the Spanish you will need. And I will give you all the tools in order so you can continue improving your Spanish by your own. So you don't need to hire a coach for 5, 6, 7 years. It is a waste of money and a waste of time for you.
Exactly. What I was trying to say, Nacho, was suppose one of your student is going to Uruguay to there,
Yeah.
and the Spanish that's spoken in Spain and the Spanish that's spoken in Uruguay is a little bit different. So, and would you, guide them with that slang that you need to be a little bit careful when you're asking a question there? So, do you give them tips of that kind? That's what I was trying to ask.
Yeah, well, the what I teach is Spanish from Spain, right? And as you said, there are many countries in South America, and they all speak their own Spanish. It's similar to English. It's not the same English that you guys
Mm.
speak in England, States, Australia, India, South Africa. English
Yeah,
is totally different, but you
yeah,
all understand each other, right?
exactly.
So sometimes I teach. If I know the differences, I teach them. But I always say that when you imagine you need to go to Paraguay or to Chile, and of course their slang is different, and I don't know their slang. But if you go there and you are able to communicate, you will learn the slang by yourself in, I don't know, in a couple of weeks, because the it's the same because I was thinking it's the same in Spain, because believe me, in Spain, the language we speak in the north is different from the language we
Mm.
speak in the south, because we all have different slang, different phrases, words, but we all understand each other. So it's not so important to focus only on one Spanish. So as I said, if you know the structures, if you know the basics, and you know the standard Spanish, yeah, I will call it standard Spanish. It's similar to standard English. Uh,
Exactly. Yeah.
you will understand each other, and the only thing you can do is learn by yourself slang, or by watching movies, or by going to a bar with friends and talk to them, because that's the best way to learn slang.
Exactly. That completely, answers my question. So now, Nacho, tell me about your experience of, working as the civil management of the state, belonging to the Ministry of Inclusion, Social Security, Migrations, lifetime civil servant belonging to your home country, Spain. Like, how was your experience there?
Well, first I'm gonna tell you why I went to why I changed my career and why I started working for the ministry. Well, as I told you, I was teaching Spanish at that moment. I wasn't coaching, I was teaching Spanish at that moment for different schools,
Hmm?
and also here in Madrid with offline classes. And suddenly, with the arrival of internet, with the arrival of different apps, people in Madrid decided that they didn't want to learn Spanish with a teacher, and they prefer to learn Spanish. I don't know, at learn Spanish with apps, or with learn Spanish with friends. So my number of clients dropped. So I had to make a living. I need money to live. So I prepared oposiciones. Oposiciones is a test that here in Spain we need to pass in order to work for the state as a civil servant. It's a very hard test. It's a very competitive test. So, yep, I started working for the ministry.
All right.
I worked there for 3 months. It was it was a job with a lot of responsibility. I was in charge of the management of European funds for immigration, especially for people coming from the north of Africa.
Hmm.
And but it was very challenging. It was with a lot of responsibility, but it wasn't what I wanted for the rest of my life. I want because my passion was languages. My passion was sharing all my culture, my language with other people. So I quit my job after 3 years. I could have stayed for another 3 years, but I quit. and I started teaching online. So that's why is when I started coaching online. Is when I changed my career. I thought that that's what I wanted to do. So I opened Spanish Nonstop. Is
Okay.
my company, and I'm very glad I did it. At the beginning, it was hard, as you can imagine. When you open
Right.
a company, is hard. You work a lot and you don't make any money, but little by little, everything started working because people were happy with what I was offering, and that's it.
That's amazing. I mean, that's a good willpower. And again, as they say, right, everyone has their own call. So your call was to, teach Spanish for, for the professionals and companies around and come up with your initiative, SpanishNonstop.com. And yeah, I one intriguing point that I really wanted to ask you. So you said that you were part of a migration department for all the people who were coming from North Africa. So people in North Africa, they speak Spanish. Like I thought that their language was Arabic or French. Because this is a trivia for me. It's news for me. So
No, no, they don't speak Spanish. Only in Kenya, they speak Spanish. It's the only country in Africa where they speak Spanish. But the situation in Africa is very bad,
hmm,
and so they come to Europe, and the closest country to to come sorry from Africa is Spain. So people come to Spain like looking for another opportunity, and some people stay here in Spain. Other people go to France or England or wherever. Well, not
got it.
England now because England now though that doesn't belong to the European Union, but well, France or Germany
Hmm.
or Italy.
Yeah, I believe even the Nordic countries, because I have been to one of them. I've been to Sweden and Norway. I've seen a lot of African people, being based there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because of the situation. So the European Union gives money to the countries in order to to have those people here and to give them a job, to give them the opportunity to make a living.
That completely understands the point, and how, and I'm pretty sure that they're happy like wherever they are, and enjoying their new life in their new country for sure. Yeah. Now, Nacho, I just came to know this, that you were both a Spanish teacher and English teacher. So on that note, I just wanted to understand, like, what are the key grammatical and sentence formation differences that you have found with respect to both these languages?
Well, there are many, 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 many differences. Okay, they are two languages very different. Yeah, they are two different languages, but main differences. For example, in English, you need the subject in order to speak. For example, you can't say eat an apple. You say you eat an apple. I eat an apple. They eat an apple. In Spanish, you don't need to say the subject because we have a different ending for of the verb for each person. So we say yo como, I eat, tú comes, you eat. So you don't need to say yo or tú. You just say como or comes, and everybody would understand you. You only say the subject when you need to emphasize on the it. Another big difference is, for example, well, we have 13 tenses.
Wow,
It's
13.
crazy. Yeah, it's
Oh,
crazy. Yeah. It's very fun. Last week, I started teaching the past to a client, and I told her, "Well, this is the first of the one of the fourth past we have in Spanish." And she asked me, "And do you use all of them?" And I went, "Yes, we use all of them every single day." So you need to learn all of them and to know how to use them. So this is another big, big difference. We have 13 tenses, and we use all of them, and you need to know when to use each of them. Another big difference is we have two verbs for the verb to be and two verbs
hmm,
for the verb to know. And
okay.
this is very confusing for English people. because uh, as you can imagine, you say I am, and we have two options depending on what you want to say. We have two options for that, and it doesn't make any sense if you say yo soy or yo estoy. These are two differences with another adjective. So there are many differences, but this is the the beautiful thing about languages, I believe, is that each language is different. Each language has its nuances, and if you learn how to communicate, uh, this is just fun to learn all these nuances, and you know that little by little you these nuances take part of yourself and your journey, your learning journey.
I mean, that actually gives me an interest to, to try Spanish right away, Nacho. You're just giving me that complete thing, and I can't resist myself, trying my hands on it. But, I'll follow the approach what you have suggested earlier in the starting. So probably, let's see, fingers crossed.
Okay, we'll see.
You said that in Spanish, you said that there are two verbs. So in English,
Yeah,
we only say I am, but in Spanish,
yeah,
there are two ways of
yeah. We
saying
have
it
to
based on
work
the
exactly.
situation. Yeah. So how
Yeah.
do you
So, for
translate that
example,
to?
yeah, if you and
Yeah.
the meaning of the adjective depends on the verb you're using.
Okay.
So, for example, in Spanish, in English you can say I am bored, I am boring. So in Spanish we say estoy aburrido, soy aburrido, and they are totally different. So it depends on the verb you're using.
Okay. So what do you mean by the verb here? Like, what is exactly that verb that you want to highlight here?
Yeah, for example, you are bored or you are boring. In English, is totally different, right? Because you can say, I am bored in this class, or I am a
Ah,
boring person. But you're always using I am. But in Spanish, depending of you want to say if you are a boring person, or you want to say you are bored in this class, or you are bored in this podcast, you use a different. You are using a different verb.
that completely explains. I mean, that's pretty interesting. I mean, that actually gives me a complete idea and, leads me to a very new discovery, as they say, right? Everything is a discovery. For me, this is a discovery of Spanish language through you.
Good. You're learning something in Spanish too.
A little by little, probably in a basic level. Right. So, Nacho, for a non-Spanish speaking person like me, what recommendations would you like to suggest with respect to the basics, the hands-on practice, the vocabulary and coaching? Like, where do I start about with?
Well, I would recommend you to learn the basics. You need to learn the basics. Try to avoid all textbooks. I believe textbooks are okay, but I haven't found in my life a perfect textbook. So if you only follow one, you will miss things. So I always recommend learn the basics, learn the vocabulary and the phrases you know that you are going to use. Try to practice as much as you can, even with a couple of words. Just repeat these words, just repeat these sentences.
Okay.
Have all your tools, sorry, your apps and your
Mhm.
programs on your computer on in Spanish. I have all my programs in English, so do it in Spanish. Um, don't be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are part of your growth. Mistakes are fun. Mistakes, you need to laugh at your mistakes, because it's not learning a language. I always say it's like playing a game. Believe me, it's playing a game.
Mm,
You you,
exactly.
you play, and if you make a mistake, well, if I believe me, when I watch this podcast, I will listen to myself and I say, "Oh no, my God! Oh my God! I made this mistake." But I will laugh at it. So I will laugh at my mistakes. So laugh at your mistakes. The good thing is people. The important thing is people may be able to understand you. It's not important if you're making mistakes. And another very, very well, is essential thing is celebrate any small win. Even
Right.
after each session, just finish. If you are working with a teacher or with a coach, um, after each session, you just say, "Yes, now I know how to say." My name is Akil, or I know how to say I live in Australia. So please celebrate all your small wins.
Got it. Got it. You should laugh at your mistakes, and you need to understand it. And there's nothing to feel disheartened about, because if you commit some mistake, you're like, oh God, I just made the worst of thing, and I think that the world has ended. But I don't think it's that.
Yeah, that's it. It's I mistakes are a part of your journey, and
Hmm.
you even make mistakes in your own language. So if you make mistakes in your own language, why don't you allow to make mistakes in a foreign language that you're learning? So
Exactly.
and people, believe me, will understand that you are making mistakes. People will support you. People are empathetic with you. So, and if you find a person who is not, you just need to think, okay, at least I can speak their language, and this person maybe can't speak mine. So,
Exactly. Yeah. As they say, right, failure is a stairway to success. And failure is not always permanent. It'll give you success in the long run, for sure.
exactly, you need to fail in order to succeed. This is sure.
Indeed. Now, Nacho, let's say if I'm starting up with Spanish, like what is that first sentence that I need to start with? Like, in English, we say that I am, I have, I had, or something like that. So in Spanish, like how do you come about with?
Okay, the first sentence I always teach is me llamo Nacho, or okay, you would say me llamo Akil, because
Me llamo Akhil.
first thing
Okay.
is you need to introduce yourself. This is the most important thing. So after that, you will know more. But first thing you need to know is to introduce yourself.
Okay. I think the introduction will give a good high, and that will give me a confidence that, I can try for the next words.
Exactly. So as you introduce yourself, and from there you can start speaking Spanish.
Got it. Got it. Now, Nacho, in Spanish, is it really required that you need to be really good with the pronunciations? Like in English, also they say that some words you have to pronounce it really well. So in Spanish, is that rule applicable?
Spanish is very easy to pronounce because we pronounce the same way as we write. So we pronounce every single letter in the words, and each letter has a pronunciation. So as soon as you learn how to pronounce the letters, you know how to pronounce Spanish.
Wow,
Is very, very easy to pronounce.
that's brilliant. Probably when I try and go for a Spanish class, and I'll give you a whirl stating that Nacho has given me this advice, and yeah, I'll follow it in this way.
Yeah, it's very easy to pronounce. Believe me. For example, you say Nacho, in any single word with N-A, you would say na. It's always na. So it's not different. It's na.
No, all right. In Hindi, I we have a language called Hindi. I mean, in India, which is like our official language. So here, when you're talking about na means no.
Oh, okay, that's good.
In informal way, it's called no. But in Hindi, we say there's one word called nahi. Nahi means no, but na means it's completely informal. It's like
Okay, now I know a Hindi word too. Good, thank you.
through me. Probably when you go to an Indian restaurant in Madrid, probably you can try a few words like these.
Well, there are many, believe me, there are many people from India in Madrid. We have lots
Oh,
of restaurants, and there are a lot of shops with managed by Indian people. So yeah,
okay. That's interesting. Wow. That's pretty good to know, actually. Now,
yeah.
Nacho, like coming to your initiative, which is the, and you're being the CEO of your initiative, that is SpanishNonstop.com. Like, I wanted to understand, like, how different is it from the other independent and commercial Spanish classes across the world market?
Well, the biggest differences are first we based well I based on fluency, right? We speak Spanish from the first day, even if you don't understand any single word I'm
Oh,
saying. Yeah, I only speak Spanish in class. It's scary for beginners. It's very very scary for beginners, but I always tell them it's important you understand what I'm explaining, not the words that I'm saying. So I know that you won't understand any single word, but the point is you need to understand what I'm trying to explain. And they do. Believe me, they do. And after 3 or 4 sessions, only 3 or 4 sessions, they start understanding me.
okay.
So uh, this is one a big difference. We don't use any textbook during the class. Only we only speak,
Good
and
approach, yeah.
and
Yeah.
I write, of course, on Zoom. Because they know what I'm trying to say. I use pictures, especially for beginners, a lot of pictures, especially for beginners, so they can understand the meaning of the words. But I don't use a textbook. All the written and all the grammar, all the stuff, they do it at home. I give them all the material they need in order to learn all the written. Um, Another big difference is the time in order to learn the language. If you visit my LinkedIn profile, you will see that I say that I you will learn Spanish in half the time, and I say guaranteed, and it's something I really guarantee. Um, in Europe, we have 6 level for a language. We have A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. And if you ask any school, any teacher, any coach, they'll tell you that you need an average of 80 or 100 hours in order to finish each level. I say that I you will finish a level in 40 hours. And if you don't finish this level in these 40 hours, I will keep teaching you for free until you get this level. So as you can imagine, I don't want to work for free. So I'm sure that you will finish this level in 40 hours, because I only focus in what is important, in what you need in order to reach the level. And another big difference is as I said earlier, I tailor all my sessions to your needs. So I will try to maybe beginners, total beginners is more general, because of course you need to know the general Spanish before you are able to communicate in your field, in your subject. But little by little, I customize and I tailor the sessions more and more and more until the sessions are 100% tailored to your needs.
That's a brilliant approach, Nacho. Now, Nacho, let's say, there's a person and, he's pretty new to Spanish and 4 classes he's not understood anything. So in that way, like, what is that, that more, I mean, that support that you give them, like that, that boost up of encouragement, like, you can learn it. Like, how do you allow them to, overcome, I mean, that confusion and that scare?
Well, I celebrate with my clients. I celebrate any small win. So as soon as you say 2 words correctly in Spanish, I would say yes. It's like yes, you can do it. So I encourage any single word. I encourage any single uh, sentence they say. I I encourage any sentence they understand I'm saying. And look, for example, I started with a client. I'm trying to think. Today we'll have no tomorrow we'll have our 6th session. So we only have 5 sessions, which is nothing. Believe me, because it's 5 hours of class. And now he's able to speak in the present simple. It's in simple present, sorry, in the simple present, and is unbelievable because he didn't know a word in Spanish, and now he can
Mm,
introduce himself in Spanish. He can introduce any other person. He can say where he's from, speak about his job, and he can say many simple sentences. Of course, simple after 5 hours, we can't say much more. But he can say things like, I don't know, I drink water, I eat pizza, I wake up in the morning, this kind of
mm.
thing. So he can say, he can explain a day of his life, the routines he does every single day. So this is a big win. This is not a small win because after 5 hours of class, you are able to say that in Spanish.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that that completely sums up the point, and yeah, it's pretty inspirational, to understand, and how you're able to comfort your people, your students, especially giving them that that victory, that even an incorrect word is correct, and it's like a celebration. It's just learning, or I mean, all the way.
Yeah, we need to celebrate, and I celebrate with them. That's the difference of between teaching and coaching is the part of the encouragement, the part of knowing, or I know all my clients, I know their goals, I know their drawbacks, I know their obstacles, I know the problems they have when learning the language, and I try to help them as much as I can, not only with Spanish but also with encouragement, with trying to find the right approach for each person, and that's necessary in order to learn fast, quickly, and have fun at the same time, because we have fun in our sessions.
That's brilliant, Nacho. Now, Nacho, like, how would you like to explain the beauty of Spanish in your own words, and why do you think learning Spanish would be why do you recommend everyone to learn Spanish?
Well, first, Spanish is a beautiful language. I believe is the sound. It's a beautiful language. Everybody says that when they hear Spanish people speaking, they say, "Wow, it sounds beautiful." It sounds so the music, the sounds are nice. It's it's a very cultural language. There's a lot of history in our language, a lot of literature, a lot of art, music, movies. So it's a very cultural language. And related to business is a big market. There's a big market. I always say that if you speak English, Spanish, and Chinese, you can communicate with
Hmm.
every person in the world. I'm sure you can communicate with almost every person in the world.
Exactly.
So you can open your business. You can open your if you are a solopreneur, you can open your business to 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 the South American market, to the Spanish market. So it's a great chance. Yeah. And if you if you want to travel, Spain is a beautiful country. It's very different. The north and the south. The north is green, is rainy, is a lot of mountains and lakes and valleys, and the south is the opposite. Is hot, is white and desert, and yeah, yeah, a lot of beaches and coast, and it's beautiful. So beautiful, and South America too. But I've never been to South America, but I know it's a beautiful continent.
All right. So, I mean, you just gave me an example of North and South. If I'm correct to understand this, like North comes under the region called Catalonia, right, in Spain.
Catalonia is the northeast. Yeah, Catalonia uh, is more Mediterranean, so is not green. And when I'm saying about the north, when I was talking about the north, I was talking about uh, Basque Country, Galicia.
Hmm.
So is the north is not Mediterranean coast, is the Cantabrico coast. It's another sea.
Okay. So if I would just like to, ask you this, since I mean, I know you will not like this if I tell you this, that I'm a Barcelona fan.
Oh no.
Sorry for that. So I mean, since childhood, I've always heard Catalonia, Barcelona players, they have, they speak Catalonian language. So I was very interested to know, like, what is the difference between I mean, the Spanish and Catalonia? Like, would you like to, give an example on that?
They are two different languages. Okay, we have the same origin, is Latin, and but it's like comparing Spanish with Portuguese or comparing Spanish with France. So they are
Okay.
two different languages. So I understand them because I speak French and Spanish, so I can understand Catalonian, but I can't speak Catalonian. So I can understand, but I can't speak.
Okay. So, okay, if I would just like to ask you, so since you're based in Madrid, and suppose you go to Basque Country, which is another province in Spain. So, how would you differentiate that Spanish and the Spanish? The Spanish in Madrid and the Spanish in Basque Country.
Okay, in Basque Country they also have another language. So the official language for the whole country is Spanish, but we have three more languages: is Catalonian and Euskera is the language
Hmm.
spoken in the Basque Country, and Galician is the language spoken in Galicia. And no, the Spanish from the Basque Country and the Spanish from Madrid is similar. The point is, in Madrid we speak the standard Spanish, so there's not like a dialect in or something different in Madrid, in the center of Spain. So only Castilla and Madrid we speak the standard Spanish. So that's why Spanish is also called Castilian, right? Castilian, because the beginning
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the language it was in Castilian. So we speak the standard Spanish, and then all different regions and also in South America, each country has its own differences.
Yeah. Now, Nacho, if I would just, ask you a little bit, like a mini tutorial for me in Spanish, like I would just say, I am Akhil Navluri. I'm based in Australia, and I love Indian food. How do I translate that in Spanish?
Okay, you would say, me llamo Akil
Me
y
llamo
soy de
Akhil.
Australia. No,
What is
it's
that
not
again?
that hard, right? Me llamo Akil
Me
y
llamo Akhil.
soy de Australia.
Y soy de Australia.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not hard, right?
It's not at all hard. And how do I say I love Indian food?
Oh, well, that's harder. Me encanta tu comida.
Me
Me
encanta
encanta.
tu comida.
Yeah, very good. So it's not that hard.
It's not hard at all. It's actually pretty interesting, to start with.
Yeah, it's not, as you can say, and you can see, Australia and Australia is almost the same.
Yeah, actually, it is pretty synonymous. And how do you people call India? Like in English, they call it as India. How do Spanish people call India?
India.
You call it as India.
Yeah, India. Yeah, countries are usually very similar because they all have, I believe, the same roots. So most of countries, not all of them, but most of countries are very similar. For example, France, Francia, so similar.
Okay.
Italia, Italy, so they are very similar.
All right. That's pretty good to know. Now, Nacho, do you have any plan of expanding your online and offline courses to the to the regions, or let's say to the geographical territories of the Spanish-speaking South American countries, or Mexico for that matter, or any other non-speaking Spanish country? Do you have any plans of going to that region?
Well, honestly, no, I don't have any plans for this. I, as I told you, I was teaching Spanish offline in the past, and it didn't work. So the good point about teaching and coaching online is that you can coach people from everywhere. So now, for example, none of my clients lives in Spain. I have clients from North America, from Europe, from Middle East, and maybe in the future I'll have a new one from an Asian country as well. And so I don't need. I prefer doing it online because I have this opportunity, and
Mhm.
as well the way I focus my classes. Um, as I told you with beginners, especially that I use many pictures, that I use many videos or games. All these things you can do it online is more easily than offline. So not for the moment. There's a saying in Spanish, and well, they say "nunca digas nunca." In English, never say never,
Never say never.
and
Yeah,
never say never. Yeah, and so never say never, but not now.
exactly. Exactly. Now, do you have any people, who are, your clients who are from South American countries or Mexico for that matter, since you just told North America? So,
Mm, no, most of I don't have. I never had a client from South America. Maybe people who live, because the thing is, people who live in the Spanish speaking countries, usually they're not looking for coaching.
yeah, yeah.
They they live in the country, so it's similar when I
Yeah.
when I went to the States, right? So I didn't attend any English class. I was there, so I tried to learn by my own, or I tried the people who want coaching are people who live in a non Spanish speaking country, so to they need classes, they need coaching in order to be able to communicate in Spanish because they work in Spanish or they want to move to a Spanish speaking country for many reasons.
That's good, and that's completely explainable. I totally get the point. And yeah, it's, I mean, since they're comfortable with their language, they don't want to do any more coaching. And that same thing happens with us when we are, adaptable to English. In India, earlier English was not part of our culture, but then post colonization, everyone in India started learning English, and that became part of our culture now.
Yeah, that's it. When you live in a foreign country, the best way to learn the language is to be immersed in the culture.
Exactly, exactly. I would definitely love to try this approach, let's say in the future. If I go to any country, probably if I go to Spain or Portugal, let me try my hands and, try to speak like the locals there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should do it. At least, well, I always recommend to learn the basics before you move to a foreign country because uh,
Okay.
I will post about it in one of these days. But for example, the other day I went to hospital with my mom, and there was a young lady who didn't speak Spanish, only English, and nobody at the hospital could understand it. So I tried to help her translating because when you move to a different country. You don't need to assume you can't assume that everybody will speak your language, even if it's English. You are moving to a foreign country, you need to speak their language. So at least if you move to a foreign country, please learn the basics. Learn the basics, and then from then you will start speaking the language.
Exactly. Nacho, I'll give you an incident. I went to, Malaysia. I went to a very small island, which is called Ferentian Islands in Malaysia. So in the capital city in Kuala Lumpur, they speak English. But if you go to the interiors of Malaysia, they don't speak English. They hardly understand English and they speak Malay. So they were pretty friendly, very sweet, but few things they couldn't understand when I was asking them in English.
Yeah, that's the point. You can't assume people will speak a language, even if it's English, Spanish, or whatever. You need to respect as well, right? I think it's a question of respect. If I move to, for example, if next, I don't know, if in the future I move to Norway with our friend Paul, I I
Yeah,
will learn Norwegian because I believe it is a question of respect also for the
yeah.
country I'm living.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a great approach. Now, Nacho, I'm pretty sure that our listeners would find it very inspirational when when they'll get to know that I mean you have this talent of writing with your mouth and writing and taking the pen and writing with your mouth. So, I mean, just tell me about it. Like, I mean, how did that thing come about? And I'm pretty sure that it's going to be an inspirational thing for all our listeners, and they would really love to hear about it.
Well, I was born with a disease called arthrogryposis or something like that in English. It's a rare disease. It's not a common disease. So my joints didn't. Well, I don't know how to say that in English, right? My joints didn't develop well when I was inside of my mom. Yeah, so I've never been able to walk or to use my arms, so I can't use my legs or my arms. But my parents always taught me from was when I was a little kid that I had to do as much as I could by my own, and so I started learning. So yeah, I started learning how to write with my mouth when I was 3 years old, exactly the same as when you started learning with your hand. And so for me, it's something similar. It's just to you is just a different way of doing things. It's not harder. It's not easier. It's just a different way to do things. And yeah, I never hide this. It's part of myself. So I went to the same primary school as my brothers and sisters. So this French school. I went to university. I've done many things in my life, and no. The fact of not being able to walk or to use my arms never stopped me to to do whatever I wanted.
But you know what, Nacho? I mean, when you get that that support and encouragement from your parents, that support actually means something else. Trust me, when they give you that support, that you can do the best, and half of your problems are solved from there itself.
Yeah, that well, I believe. Well, my parents were very hard, and believe me, when I was a kid, well, they loved me a lot, but I mean, they were hard in order to push me to yeah, to do things. So I had, because they knew that if I was treated in a different way, I would never have independence, never in my
Exactly,
life. And
exactly.
it's the same approach I use with my clients from beginners. It's like I'm very hard with them. I'm very hard with them. I push them up to the limit, but with love. And I know
Yes,
that
yes.
they will do it because I want them to be independent as quick as fast as they can.
Amazing, amazing, Nacho. That's a pretty good approach. And Nacho, I'm pretty much finding it pretty new for you. I mean, I'm finding it really new. French class, like in Spain, do they really learn French? I mean, how does that connect?
No, it was in the past. When I was a kid, you could learn French or English, but now I would say now is 80% English, 20% other languages. Now,
Okay,
like French, German, or Chinese are the languages kids can learn. But we went to a French school. That's why I started learning French as a kid. So
mm,
if, for example, usually psychic people, well, kids have an average of 2 or 3 hours of a foreign language. I had an average of 10 hours a week. So I had 10 hours of French every single week. And all the rest of the subjects were in Spanish. But, for example, I in the canteen, we only when I was a kid, we were only able to speak in French, and so we had to speak French.
Trivia, Nacho, trivia, really.
Yeah, yeah. The bad point about that is that I have forgotten most of my French. I understand everything. I can speak it French, but I have problems writing French because I haven't practiced
Mhm.
French for more than 15 or 20 years. So
I
I
know.
forgot most of it.
That's a pretty long time. That's completely understandable. Even I'm actually in my basics in French. I just started, so mine is very, very basic. Yeah.
But well, maybe in the future I will go back to French, and I know after studying for a couple of months, everything will come to my mind for sure.
Indeed, indeed. I'm looking forward for that day, and I'm looking forward for that day, Nacho, where you say that, Akhil, I've got it right. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, we will see.
Awesome. Awesome, Nacho. So now, Nacho, before we actually, conclude our podcast session, let's take a pretty lighter route. Now, at this moment, we were just, talking about your journey, about Spanish coaching, about the nuances of Spanish. Now we'll take a lighter route where we'll talk about your likes and interest. All right? In the form of a rapid fire. Okay. So the first question to you, Nacho, since you're based in Madrid, what's your favorite football club? I'll give you two options here. Is it Real Madrid or is it Atletico Madrid?
Good question. I don't like football, so no problems about that. I don't like football. I
Okay.
love basketball. I love basketball, and I'm a big Real Madrid supporter fan, but supporter in basketball. We are one of the best teams in Europe, and I'm a very big fan. I have a season ticket, so I go most of the matches of Real Madrid here in Madrid.
Awesome, awesome. Now, if I would ask you, since you said that you're a basketball fan, what's your favorite basketball team in NBA, in the National Basketball Association, America?
I don't like. Sorry about that. I don't like the NBA because I'm only interested in European basketball. But I
Okay.
love Luka Doncic because he played in Real Madrid.
Yeah.
He played in Real Madrid, and I saw him playing for 3 or 4 years. So it was awesome having Luka Doncic in. So I follow Luka Doncic. I don't follow the NBA, but I follow Luka Doncic.
Awesome, awesome. So suppose, Nacho, if I visit Spain ever in my life, like I mean multiple times. So what is that place that you would recommend me to, go for?
I will recommend you to go to visit the south of Spain. It's beautiful because of the Arabic influence.
Okay.
So like Seville, and Granada is beautiful. It's beautiful. Each region is different, and each region is beautiful. But I love the south. Yeah. And Madrid is beautiful too. Madrid has very nice things to visit. And the north, if you like lakes and mountains and all these things, the north of Spain is the best place to go.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, I like lakes and mountains because, I've seen a lot of things in India where I'm based in. It's a complete monsoon country. We have a lot of rains for a particular season. And yeah,
So in that case, maybe the north is the best for you. But each region is different, and has its own beauties.
indeed, indeed. That's right. Now, if I would just like to ask you this, Nacho, like what is the best Indian restaurant that you would like to recommend me if I ever come to Madrid?
Oh, that's a good question. There's one next to my house. Is called um, Tandoori Station, and is I believe is one of the best Indian restaurants here in Madrid. But if you come to Madrid, please don't go to an Indian restaurant. Go to a Spanish restaurant, the same as I did when I went to the States. If you come here, you need to try Spanish food and to be immersed in the Spanish culture.
Okay. Since you just told about the Spanish food, what is the go-to Spanish food that you always prefer? And what you, recommend people?
Well, I recommend paella. Paella is like rice with chicken and seafood and vegetables. And I also recommend tortilla de patata, which is potatoes omelette. It only has eggs, onion, and potatoes, but it's tasty. It's very tasty.
All right, that's a good recommendation for sure. Now, the final question to you: what's your favorite Spanish song, or let's say famous Spanish band, pop band?
Ooh, Good question. Because I don't have a favorite Spanish band. I believe it depends on the moment. I love music. I'm listening to music all day long, and and it depends on the moment. I love pop music, so everything related to pop is okay with me. I don't like, for example, I don't like rock. So
Okay.
uh, anything, any Spanish pop music is okay with me. I always share with my clients my LinkedIn, my Spotify playlist is like 4 hours long. So if you want to, I can share my playlist with you too, so you can listen to Spanish music.
So since you just came up with the playlist thing, what is there? What are the top three songs in your playlist in Spotify?
Um, I it has like, I don't know, 400 songs. I love on all of them, and I I always put on this playlist songs that mean something for me, maybe in the past or maybe now, but something that when I listen to this song, I say, oh, I remember that moment, or I remember that person, or I remember that. But so there are songs from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, and 2000. Well, up to 2 days ago, because I believe I had my last song was from, yeah, 2 days ago, something like that.
Right. What's that song that you want me to listen to? A Spanish song that is like a must and should.
I can't believe that. I must a song. I don't know. I it depends on the kind. I as I told you, I don't have a favorite song. It depends on the moment. Now I like a song called 6 de Febrero, like February the 6th from Aitana. But maybe next week, if you ask me, I would tell you another one. So
Awesome, awesome. That's good to know, Nacho. So finally, Nacho, thank you so much for taking time and being the first guest of my new podcast initiative, the One to One podcast. And it was an awesome podcast session for me. Talking with you about Spanish, learning the beauty of the Spanish language, your journey, especially how you started out in the government place and how you went to the US, and then how you made that Spanish nuance pretty simple for your clients who are non Spanish speaking people. So that was a pretty good insight for sure.
no, thank you, Akil. It's a pleasure to be the first person coming to your new podcast. I hope this podcast works, and I hope I didn't do it too bad. So you will have a second guest and a third guest and around 100 guests. So I wish you the best with your podcast. I wish you the best, because it was great. It was very fun. It was like speaking with a friend, and so thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you so much, Nacho. That really means a lot. And listeners, if you want to learn Spanish anytime, you could always approach Mr. Nacho Fernandez, who's present on LinkedIn. And if you need any one-on-one Spanish classes, there he is. And you could always, approach him, and he would be the first one to help you out with and make Spanish much more easier and fun.
Thank you.
That so listeners, this is your host Akhil Lavluri signing off. We would be back with another podcast episode very soon with another distinguished and, let's say, inspirational leader. So till then, keep listening. Take care. Stay tuned. Thank you and au revoir. Gracias.